We started it with it last week, and we have to start with it this week because so much can change in a week. I know, right? In October.
So much hope, so much inspiration, so much good vibes to no vibes.
For those of you creators who are not paying attention to the LCS, the MLB playoffs, our Mariners lost in Game 7, do or die, literally by 1 run at the very end of the game. Depressing as Mariners fans here. In fact, you can see we're no longer wearing any Mariners gear because that's how depressed. Benji has gone from wearing Mariners gear to wearing black.
That was the title of the vlog the other day.
Was it really?
It was. I went from hopeful to depressed. And it was, I think, yesterday's vlog upload.
Really?
Because that's how Judy knew.
That it was affecting you?
That was affecting me.
So... not to take it too seriously, but it really is. Like, one of the things we talked about last week was, the kind of tortured history of the Mariners over the last 48 years of their existence, and the documentary that kind of explained all of that 5 or 6 years ago.
The documentary makes you even more depressed because it actually makes you love the team even more.
Exactly.
And that's what happens when you watch a 4-hour video about a team's really bleak history.
Yeah, it's by the guys at SB, or actually Secret Base on YouTube. SB Nation is the company, I think, that runs it. John Boyce is kind of the leading guy over there with his style. But one of the things I texted you after the game was like, the story continues. And I knew exactly what you were thinking after the fact, because you had told me even that you were thinking about this beforehand, that listen, like this is sort of like the next chapter. So I'm curious about what your thoughts are around the connection between those things. You kind of already explained it a little bit.
Yeah.
But like what the implications are as far as creators go.
I think that we're going into an era where a story is so important for the new kind of phase of YouTube content because, and we'll talk about it more today, short form really kind of changed the game because it turned what had a soul in it and stories into just a utility. So, with YouTube Shorts, obviously Instagram Reels, and especially TikTok, it took all these 4, 5, 6-minute videos that didn't always have a story in it, right? But sometimes you would. Sometimes you just kind of riff on the topic or the content you're talking about. And then it just like crunched it down. It took all the humanity out, all the personality out, we called it fluff, right? Yeah. As editors. And that's where the stories were. And then just made it as this like quick thing, right? So before you might have watched one of my 6 to 8 minute food recipe videos. Now you're watching a 60-second version of that. Short form craze say, oh, there's still personality in it. And there is, but it's not distinguished by your personality as much, and definitely not by stories, because you can only tell someone's stories. So then you go to the flip side of people that are just storytelling, just for the sake of storytelling, right? Like just talking like a normal, like how you and I would talk on the weekend. And this documentary, I talk about how during the pandemic, I would run upstairs with my laptop and I'd show Judy a 1-hour vlog. And then 4 years later, I forget exactly when. You've been telling me about this 3-hour documentary. You got to watch this.
Yeah.
Because you
also came out during the pandemic, by the way.
Yeah, during the pandemic. But he said, you got to watch it. It's like so cool. I'm like, 3-hour video. I remember when you told me about this, I was like, I love the Mariners. I've been a fan for a very long time since I moved here in the 90s. And actually lived through all those different, both depressing and exciting seasons. No pun intended. But I finally did sit down and watch it just because you kept saying it, and I was like, I need to. And I loved it. And I couldn't watch all 4 hours in one sitting because who has time to even do that? I mean, I just rarely watch
movies aren't even that long.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a movie that is 3 hours long, that used to be exciting. But in our busy lives, it's just hard to commit to that. But I loved it so much, I would watch it in 20-minute segments or an hour segment. I think I watched the longest segment at the end because I just want to see what this story about the Mariners would conclude on. Now, what's crazy is I know the end of that story, but I still wanted to hear it. It's kind of like kids running to their parents saying, oh, tell us the story that they've heard 100 times. Yeah. And so this documentary did two things. Number one, it just made me entertained and engaged on a story I already knew, but it was told a different way. And then two, it made me love the Mariners even more. Now, it's interesting. In this case, I didn't really love the storyteller that much more. But it wasn't about that person.
No.
It was about these people, right? These players, these this baseball team that goes through all these struggles. So as a fan, I'm like even more invested. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to like break this curse. And it makes you believe in a curse because he shows all this evidence. But the first part, I think, is kind of what's interesting about, with so much competition as creators, we think that it's too late. Everything's been done. But dude, this guy spent 4 hours telling a story that we've already heard, watched, and experienced. And I watched 4 hours, and now this long Mariners documentary that looks like it was shot and edited in the 80s, not even the 90s, like in the 80s, has 7 million views. And so now that we've lost, I think that he can actually add a whole nother chapter because what's crazy? I heard this post game, right? Because I watched the last game through my watch, by the way.
I didn't know.
I was teaching Taekwondo. So I'm like, literally like, what's the Mariners game? Tell me the Mariners score. And I'm like teaching. And then like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah. Anyways, but I heard that the last pitcher that pitched to the last Mariners player was from the Astros.
No way.
And if you know about the history of the Astros and the Mariners, they're kind of becoming a little bit of our
our rivals. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did know that. Yeah.
Oh, you did know that?
Yeah, I knew that. Oh, and I didn't know the pitcher was from the Astros. I knew that they were our rivals.
It was a former pitcher.
I had no idea.
And so it's just like I was thinking, oh, this is perfect for the documentary.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait to watch it.
And so that's the thing, right? Is that what you're getting at is the power of storytelling, which we talked about last week. I think that this highlights it even more. The reason I bring it up again here is just it's on the top of our mind, obviously, but also that one of the big takeaways from me last week was all the people online that were saying, I have no investment in the Mariners, don't really care about the team, didn't even really know about them until I saw this documentary, and it made me start caring about them. And it shows you the power not only of the storytelling, but the long form that YouTube enables, right? Which you were just comparing to the short form version of it. I think the best comp that I have is to TikTok edits. Are you familiar with edits, like the edit culture on TikTok?
No.
So edits, neutrally, you're familiar with edits, right?
Like those highlight stuff and with the trendy videos, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, describe to Benji for me it's not just highlights though, right? It is highlights, but what makes an edit an edit?
It plays on just the culture of what's going on right now. So what I've been seeing is a lot of the 6-7 stuff and edits and videos like that are popular, and it's very just culture vibes and what's very trendy.
Yeah. So the way I would describe an edit is that it's usually a sub 1 minute video set to a really famous kind of super jubilant or very depressing song. Usually it's very emotional is what it is. And it's highly edited, super put together with all of these kind of cap cutty, transitional things. So you'll get this guy hitting a baseball super hard, and then it cuts to all of the other times he hit. It's very impressive how these things are edited together. And people are doing it for I think it started in sports and sports culture, but it's kind of made its way out to other things as well. So people make edits of their favorite characters from TV shows. It may have also been kind of related to K-pop and stuff like that. So it's people who are these super fans of some thing, someone, some entity, and they go and they make these highly edited things that kind of glorify the emotional kind of resonance of this entity to them in some way or another.
Of that person, right?
Of that person, or in this case, it would be the Mariners, right?
So Cal Raleigh is the home run champion, I guess you could say. He broke the record this year for home runs for the team, and I think a certain record for the league. And so you're saying the beginning would be him hitting a home run, but then it would cut to maybe when he was a kid. and
Yeah.
then maybe in minor league or when he was in college, and then
Or
boom,
like
boom,
it'll
boom.
do all 60 of his home runs back to back, right? And do something crazy like that where it'll like take a frame from every single
And it's
one.
called edits.
They call them edits, right?
Okay.
So it's edit culture, right? I'll have to show you one sometime. But the interesting thing about it is that you never really, there's no story. There's kind of like story elements because you get some backstory there. There's no face to it other than the person that's getting the edit. You don't really ever know like the account holder, for example. And they're very short, right? The only other kind of like sports thing that I tend to see on TikTok is like sometimes you see clips and things like that. That's kind of interesting, but that's kind of normal across any, social platform. But also just like people who are randomly kind of commenting. It reminds me a lot of like the old days of Twitter where people would like live tweet a game, right? This is like live reactions to a game, or like we know John Cortese, right? He's out there in Seattle talking about the Mariners because he's a buddy of ours. He's a creator who's killing it on TikTok in Seattle, and he's talking about the game and things like that. So there's some level of commentary as well. The unfortunate thing about those short form things is that you never are really as connected to the person or to the person creating or to the entity that's being highlighted in the same way that you would be through the YouTube video. So I contrast the two because I tend to think that those ones on short form are kind of like they're already capitalizing on people's existing interest on the Mariners. There's very few of those in contrast to this documentary by John Boyce and SB Nation that
creates a new interest.
That creates a new fan. That's exactly it. And so I just want to give you the last word on this because I think that is the big takeaway from me is just how powerful that storytelling in the long form is on YouTube and how that's different, even though it might look kind of the same on TikTok.
Well, there's a reason why people have been telling stories for thousands and thousands of years, and the way we tell the story, even if there's been different methods and mediums for doing it, obviously at one point it went from speaking in front of a crowd to a radio and then a TV and then on the movie screen and then, social media. This right here, just talking to somebody, that's never gotten old.
Yeah.
And it's like it became novel at one point with short form content. So, and then if you tell that story, it's like I always say, you can go to school to learn something and then read books about that thing and then have different teachers tell you the same thing, but it might not ever resonate or really kind of like click through. But then this one person tells the right story on the same thing that you've, like went to class to learn about, but it really resonates and then it really sticks and then you get the takeaway, right? And that is the power of a good storyteller that knows how to tell the right stories about the right topics. And then that person on the other side is like, oh, I see. Like, because going back to the Mariners, it's like most people outside of Washington, and I would argue even in Seattle, just look at the Mariners as like a team that plays here in the Seattle area.
And actually, a lot of people may not even know or care about the Mariners because they're so far away from everybody else.
And it takes this one fact, right? The one fact. And you want to know the most depressing thing about the Mariners losing?
I do.
Is a post that shows still the only team to not be at the World Series.
Exactly.
That was really made me sad. I was like, wow, you're just reminding me of like that fact.
Yeah.
We just had this amazing season, and the playoffs was magical. I mean, think about the Grand Slam. But then we end with like that graphic of we're the only team. Now, people will hear that, just like what I said, people will go to school, hear different teachers say the same thing, but it doesn't resonate. That 4-hour documentary takes that fact and makes it so heavy and so entertaining, and that you're so engaged in it that now you're like, you know what? We need to change this fact. And so this is the power to like make people not only care, but to act on something.
Yeah.
And so there's tons of fans now about the Mariners. I mean, like out of the 7 million, I wouldn't be surprised if there's thousands, maybe 10,000 plus that actually now buy Mariners gear, that watch the Mariners, or when they hear that they're at the playoffs, they're like bandwagon fans, which is totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. And they're watching everything. And then you get people literally crying.
Yeah, seriously.
I couldn't believe how many people are crying.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's so emotional, right? It's a modern Greek tragedy is the way I think about it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so there's a reason we call it like a Greek tragedy, because that's like the origins of good storytelling, at least from modern history.
Yeah, in Western history for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's a great opportunity to bring up Vlogging Academy, right? Like one of the reasons we're so passionate about this new vlogging method that you've invented, Benji, is that one of those T's and the 3 T's of the new vlogging method is telling stories. That's one of the 3 pillars of the framework of the new vlogging method. This podcast is supported by students of Vlogging Academy, who are the ones that are learning about what we think is the simplest and easiest way to get started in this long form opportunity on YouTube, to figure out and take advantage of the biggest opportunity that YouTube has ever given us in order to mint new fans of things. Maybe that's you, maybe that's something you care about. And to get them to take action in ways that that we're going to talk about later in this episode, actually. So if you're interested in learning more about how to take advantage of that big opportunity on YouTube, check out our course at vloggingacademy.com, where you can learn more about the new vlogging method.
On that note, though, let's talk about stories as it pertains not just to vlogs, but just YouTube videos in general. 2 things. When you're telling a story, you're able to take a topic that you feel like every creator on earth, and there's tons of videos about, and make it new.
Yes.
Because your story, your perspective, your opinion, your experience with that topic or whatever you're talking about, this could be a recipe, this could be, like healthy foods, this could be the Mariners, and it makes it different and it makes it new.
Yeah.
So that's the cool thing, and that's like unlimited. But there's a second part of telling a story, which is it's unique to you. So it sets you apart. That means you'll never have competition, because when you tell your story, no one else can tell that story. No one lived your life and had your dynamic and had that interesting perspective. And so the better you get at telling a story, and it doesn't have to be complex. There's these courses and experts and so many videos I've seen over the last like 5 to 10 years, especially about like great storytelling and TED Talks or whatever. I'm not discounting what they teach, but we all tell stories all the time. We just don't know we're doing it. So when you meet up with someone, like after they lost a game, what's something that after like either a horrific or a amazing experience that everybody does, they always talk about what was their unique experience. Where were they? You got this with 9/11, right? Everyone says, "Oh, I was in the living room or whatever." Like, or my mom woke me up and said, "You need to watch the TV," or like I was just walking into class. Everyone knows that, and that becomes that story on a topic that literally, like at the time, was on the news 24/7 for. I remember it was like a month. Okay, everything else was cleared. Your story. So same thing with the Mariners, and why that's important for new and creators that are already doing this full time. You got to tell your story about the thing that you care about, even if other people have talked about it and you feel like, oh, their videos are better or they got more views, because no one's got your perspective. But what's interesting is your perspective, though it's unique and you won't have competition, how many other people might be able to relate to it.
Yeah.
You have the secret recipe that is for this group of people, and this is where it goes back to the theme of your channel if you follow the Vlogging Academy method. And that's why you need to just literally tell your story, talk about your experience, your perspective, share your opinion on whatever it is, and get really good at it. And Vlogging Academy helps you do that so that you can make longer videos on YouTube and take advantage of the new era of this platform.
Yeah, our thanks to the students of Vlogging Academy for supporting us and the show. And you can check it out more if you want to be one of the students at vloggingacademy.com. Let's get to some follow-up here. So last week we talked about the Netflix podcast deal that they made with Spotify. Netflix is buying a few shows basically to turn into video podcasts on Netflix and forcing those podcasts to be taken down from YouTube. One of the things we talked about was that it showed how Spotify really was struggling, right? They couldn't compete with YouTube in terms of YouTube's dominance of podcasts and obviously video as well. But how Netflix is doing everything they can to try and compete with YouTube to the level at literally buying content and syndicating content from other people and then kind of taking down content from YouTube so that way they can have it exclusive to them. It's very reminiscent of the days of Joe Rogan.
Does this have anything to do with Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix bought them.
Bought Spotify.
Bought Spotify's shows off of YouTube, basically. So they bought The Ringer, is like some shows from The Ringer, for example. We talked about this last week. And you actually had a question, which was like, how big are these shows, right? You're like, oh, well, are they as big as Joe Rogan? And so here's what I found. And this is not all encompassing. This is just an interesting first pass here, which is that Joe Rogan, this is as of 2019. So there's a little, but these are the most recent stats. Joe Rogan was getting 190 million downloads a month, which is just insane to think about. 190 million downloads a month. The Ringer, which is the set of some of those shows are going over to Netflix exclusively, gets 100 million downloads a month. So this is an entire podcast network that is getting half as many downloads a month as Joe Rogan alone. Again, this is 5 years ago. Things have changed a lot since then. But just to give you some sense of the scale, that's what's happening. Now,
how many shows are in the Ringer?
I'm not sure. I know that there's like 3 or 4 that are kind of like the big ones there, right? So they're big. These are big shows. It's a popular network. It's going to do good things for Netflix. They're being taken down from YouTube. I guarantee you they have fans that are going to go watch them over on Netflix. But I think it kind of goes even further. So I wanted to first give you that before I get to some commentary that happened after we got to talk about it last week.
I mean, it's a mistake.
Really interesting.
I mean, it's good for the podcast creator. They get the bag, right?
Yeah.
But it's almost the death of the mega growth they would have on YouTube.
Oh, it's a mistake for the podcasters ultimately, you think?
Yeah. It's like saying I value the money, which is fine. I mean, some people, they want to build a business to sell it, okay? But they're not going to have the same kind of organic growth. What makes YouTube so special is this algorithm that finds the right audience all the time, right? If you're, that's the thing, like your content kind of evolves and so these podcasts, will they live on Netflix and Spotify? Is that how it's going to work?
Yeah, my understanding is that they're sort of cross-syndicating the two of them.
There's a reason why Joe Rogan, the biggest, who got the biggest payday, is going back to YouTube. Think about it. Why would
because he wants the reach is what you're saying.
And it wasn't just him. Guess who else wants a reach too? Probably Spotify. They paid him to go back to the platform they paid him to get off of. That's wild.
That is wild, because you think about like their original strategy. They initially wanted to have a bunch of exclusive podcasts to force people to come over to Spotify, and that was kind of what you told me your story was. But that obviously failed to some degree, or they decided to change their strategy in one way or another. But actually, your point there does get me to the article that came out after. And I want to read you some quotes here because I think there's some important ideas out of here that we can kind of pull out of it to kind of continue the heartbeat of this. It's a story titled "Spotify and Netflix Gun for YouTube's Eyeballs" by M.G. Siegler. So he's laying it out there right in the title, right? Here's a quote. Quote, "On paper, the world's largest streaming music service partnering with the world's largest streaming video service sort of sounds terrifying. Except that technically, YouTube is bigger than Spotify and, bigger at music than Spotify and bigger at video than Netflix." I'm just going to leave that there. There's more. That's crazy. That's crazy. Bigger than music. Bigger than Spotify at music, bigger than Netflix at video. I mean, YouTube is bigger than both independently. Together, it's like a whole other game. Let me continue. Add in the aforementioned podcasting, and there's sort of the hidden elephant in many rooms. And this is something you and I have been beating the drum about for the past year now, maybe year and a half. He continues, the fact that as part of this deal, Netflix is requiring that the videos not be posted on YouTube in full, that is, only clips for promotional purposes, says all you need to know here. While Spotify can't compete with YouTube in video, Netflix can and will. I'm going to leave it there. I have another quote here in a second, but I'm curious about your reaction to that little quote that sort of is beating that same drum as us.
Let me ask Neutrally a question here. Hey, Neutrally, you want to come on screen real quick, or at least answer this question?
Yo, what's going on?
All right. Neutrally is the producer of this podcast. He runs everything. Okay. I'm going to ask him a question. All right. How old are you, Neutrally?
I'm 23.
Okay, he's 23 years old. Okay,
Yeah.
he represents a generation that's different than mine. I'm 41. I forget sometimes. You know, after 40, you stop counting.
Kidding.
Okay, my question for you is: how often do you pull up the YouTube app throughout your day, both when you're at home, right, whether it's a dorm or at your house, or out and about? You know, maybe like going somewhere, or even like in between classes. How often are you pulling up the YouTube app?
So for me personally, I only pull it up when I'm at home or
Okay.
when I'm at a place where I have time to watch videos.
So
When I'm
tell me that
outside,
place. Tell me where that place is. Outside
yeah,
of home.
outside of home.
Yeah, you said when I'm at a place. Yeah.
So it could be where I'm waiting for something. So I
Yeah.
recently went to the doctor's. I was in the waiting room. I was just on my YouTube app.
Perfect. Perfect example. Okay. How often do you decide to pull up Netflix in that doctor's office versus YouTube?
That's a great question.
Rarely at all.
Rarely. And you're not just saying that for me, right? To prove a point.
No, yeah, I'm being honest.
So I didn't even know that, by the way. Thank you, Neutrally. I didn't even know that about YouTube being even bigger on music. It makes sense because I like listening to YouTube music personally. Definitely don't use Spotify. I'm just super old though. I use Pandora still.
That's
by the way,
baller. I love that.
That is actually also going to prove my point. People are creatures of habit. The biggest habit right now, and that's why I asked Nucci this question, is to use YouTube literally for everything. YouTube is just like the go-to platform. It's becoming like a social media platform, except it's not for social, it's for content. It's for like escapism.
Yeah.
It's for like literally whatever you're interested in. And so the reason I asked that question mutually, and then this is a question for everybody listening, think about how many times you open up Netflix throughout the day. Netflix is what YouTube is becoming, to Netflix's credit, right? Like if you're going to watch a proper movie, I pulled up Netflix yesterday because I wanted to watch something, right? You know what's funny? I was looking at stuff on Netflix and guess what I was like inevitably went back to? YouTube. YouTube is like the everything answer, okay? It's like all day platform because it can be both the shorts or shorter videos for like in the doctor's office, or it can be for the long, okay? And that's why when you asked me about like this question about Spotify and Netflix, forcing podcasts off, it's a mistake for the creator. For the creator's finances, oh, amazing. I'm like, good for them. I'm don't get me wrong. It'd be nice like if I had an offer like that or something like that. But I'm also like deciding I'm leaving all this behind, which is the magic of YouTube. And that's kind of my whole point. Both Spotify and Netflix are not platforms that, well, I think maybe Spotify to a certain degree, but when you look at the numbers, YouTube just dominates. And so this is why I think it. And I never was like this, like to this biased or to this degree, but the numbers are showing the heavy usage of YouTube. And I can just paint this picture. It's everything from your phone, your computer, to your TV. YouTube is everywhere, and it fits perfectly for every session of your day. That is hard to leave, and that's what you're leaving if you sell and go to another platform, which is going to be for a very specific type of viewer, for a specific type of viewing experience.
Yeah, your characterization of them as creators is really interesting because, and I didn't do a great job of explaining this, they are owned 100% by Spotify, and they are technically a studio within Spotify, almost more akin to like a traditional like Hollywood studio or TV show studio. But MG Siegler in his article actually also calls them creators because he talks a ton about user-generated content. That's what the advantage that YouTube has is that users are literally uploading videos to this platform, allowing anybody to get that distribution. I can't just upload I think you can technically to Spotify, but you can't just upload a podcast that's going to go over to Netflix in this deal, right? This is a very specific deal that's 100% internal to Spotify and Netflix. And these things are the only way that Netflix really has to compete with just the sheer volume of content that UGC, user-generated content, that YouTube has. So let me read this last quote, because this is one of those things that I think you and I can really dig into. This is the kind of core idea that I really love. He says, Netflix, of course, has a different agenda. While they're increasingly what cable used to be for many homes, they can't possibly hope to scale the way YouTube has without user-generated content. This Spotify deal gives them user-generated content in a way. There's two things in there. Number one, that he highlights the idea that YouTube just has this totally unfair advantage in all of this. It's actually unprecedented in many ways in any media platform. But the other idea is that he positions Netflix as cable in a lot of ways. And I really like that distinction. So if you think about the old days of TV, since we're in the TV era of social platforms, especially of YouTube at this point, one of the things that I found very compelling about it is that he's saying YouTube, he didn't say this directly, YouTube is essentially the broadcast TV, over-the-air TV of that era, which is this totally free thing. You put some bunny ears on your bunny ear antennas on top of your TV, and you got TV. You're good to go. By the way, that was totally free, funded by advertising, and were tended to be the biggest companies in the space, actually, overall, in terms of those things. On the other hand, you have the advent of cable, which is plugged into the wall, something that you pay for. I think there's still probably a comparable number of ads, frankly, because people were just used to watching ads on TV, so they did it, which, by the way, is happening on Netflix as well. But you get a different kind of like level of like average quality of content. Now that actually, I think you could argue, depending on like what you think of in terms of like the quality of content on YouTube versus Netflix. But the instinct there is really key, which is that the broadcast TV is the free option that everybody has access to, that everybody knows. Everybody knows and can watch ABC. Everybody knows and can watch NBC. Those are the broadcast networks. Not everybody can watch HBO, for example, right? Not everybody can watch ESPN, for example, right? And guess what? Those companies ended up making deals with the broadcast companies over time to syndicate some of their shows back over to those free over-the-air things, depending on what they were broadcasting at any given point in time, because that idea of something being free is just so powerful. And that's what YouTube has over Netflix, in my opinion.
Yeah, but there's one thing that YouTube has that era never, it was possible. We were limited by the amount of TVs that were in our life and where those TVs were. So the TV had to be plugged into the wall, have antennas, but also TVs were big. You know, I remember in my bedroom, I had a tiny TV like this big, and it was like, it was really cool.
Yeah.
I could watch TV in my bedroom, right? Because it was a cheap TV. For me, it wasn't the fact that the TV was small. It was the fact that I had TV in my room that was a big deal. So now I could watch TV in my room or in the living room, okay? YouTube goes with you everywhere.
Yeah.
I know that this is like a little bit beyond the conversation about like broadcast being free and cable being a paid platform. But what I'm saying is YouTube is both of those.
No, you're 100% right.
YouTube is even more than that.
Yeah.
So again, Netflix, this is my point I was trying to say with Neutrally saying, oh, I barely open up Netflix. I know he doesn't represent everybody, but I think like he's a good gauge on someone that's not a creator, right? Doesn't think like a creator, and what's like a general habit of people that I think a lot of people can relate to. And that is what's so crazy about YouTube. It's literally everywhere all the time. We've never had that in the history of media. You know, that
Totally
they
agree.
are literally the new gatekeepers, weirdly, but like good gatekeepers, right? They're trying to get the content that you are interested in. And, you know, on that note, by the way, we when I say gatekeepers, these are people that make decisions on what gets seen or not seen.
Yes.
I actually think during the pandemic, they had to do things legally speaking, or they thought to, you know, like squash certain voices because they were saying things that they thought were a danger. They're backpedaling all that. They're like, man, you know what? We need to be just completely free as long as it's appropriate, age appropriate, right? And we protect kids. But dude, if people want to see this and these voices, and to their credit, they've kind of become that. So I am telling you, that we haven't even begun to see what's possible. So then when you leave that, and I called them a creator, right? I had no context with them, but ultimately like that they are creating something,
Totally.
right? That's not going to be replicated on Netflix.
Totally.
Netflix puts you into a box, just like HBO, right?
Yeah.
It puts you into a limited viewing audience. Yes, they are paying audience. And yes, people that really love your content will go there, but not everyone, because so many people are in the habit. They don't even think about YouTube as this grand app like I do. They're just like, that's where I watch stuff. And if you're going to leave, I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to stay here because one, I might not be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And then two, because, we talked about cable cutting.
Yes.
What about streaming cutting?
Yeah.
Right? It's happening. So that's again, like a long rant about why you have to think twice about leaving. Because what I was going to say, I think about comedians, right? Would you agree there's some comedians that get paid a lot and some comedians that don't? Okay. And a lot of people think like, oh, I want to get paid. Like that is like the ultimate thing I want to accomplish. I want to be the best paid comedian. Yeah. And there are comedians that rise to the top and get paid a lot. But what do you think comedians respect more? The size of the audience or the size of your paycheck?
I'm sure it depends on the comedian, frankly. I don't know. I think that it's probably totally dependent on things. Because if I had an audience of
okay, let me paint you a picture. Same venue. There's this really high paying artist, okay? And then there's this same venue, low paid comedian. Both are comedians, okay? One's high paying and one's low paid. High paying goes and half the room is filled up. Still a good vibe. Hardcore fans, right? Love his set. Low paid comedian packs the house out, line out the door. From that group of comedian like colleagues, which one would be respected more?
I mean, I think it depends. I still think it depends.
It's the audience.
You really think so?
100%. Because it's the art form that is entertaining and gets the audience to laugh, right? That's the whole point, to get people to laugh. Big crowd. I mean, like, how packed was that Mariners stadium during that game when we did the Grand Slam? Yeah. They said that it was the loudest it's ever been.
Yeah.
So imagine if there was half that audience there, right? There's something about attention that is like humanly important to us. And so that's why I bring it up. When I'm, coaching creators, I don't think it's just a vanity metric, your views. I think it's very important. Also, money is important, but I've seen a lot of people that have a lot of money, right? Successful creators, comedians, artists, whatever, that's still like long for the audience. And so I'm not saying the amount of your audience is the only metric. What I'm saying is the potential for that bigger audience is really important to think about. Because if you get paid, but no one follows, would you agree that there's things on Netflix that got like a lot of production money?
Oh, totally.
And there's maybe even comedians, right? That's like the big thing.
That's true. I mean, I guess to your point, they would call, like, those are literally called flops. When you get lots of money and nobody watches, it's called a flop. People literally have a name for it.
So what I'm saying is that comedian that barely gets paid, but the room is packed, would you call that a flop, or would be a success?
No, people
regardless
would call that
if he
success.
gets paid or not.
Yeah.
That's YouTube.
Yeah.
That's YouTube. And guess what? That guy that packed the house out, is he more likely to get paid even in the same venue?
That's very true. He is.
And that's YouTube for you, right? You start with the attention and the opportunity follows. And then these people that are going to Netflix, right, and leaving YouTube, they also had the attention, but guess what? They're saying bye-bye to them.
Yeah, I mean, actually, one of the big things here is that Netflix and YouTube are in a battle to the death now for attention, 100%, which is to your point, right? Netflix has added advertising on their. By the way, this preceded Netflix addition of advertising, but now Netflix has added advertising. So every minute you've spent watching a Netflix show now potentially adds to Netflix's bottom line, and so they need more content to get you watching even longer, so they can make that advertising money. guess what? Same thing happened to HBO, right? They totally, sometimes like ad-free movies, for example, right? But over time, you start to like need the extra money, so you start putting little ad breaks in there and stuff.
Whenever
like that.
a platform starts doing what you're doing, you're doing something right.
That's very true.
And it's almost impossible for that other platform to compete against you if that's your thing and you've created this habit and you keep a strong brand. And that's what YouTube, like this is what TikTok did to YouTube, right? Would you say arguably TikTok is still better at short form than YouTube Shorts?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I missed what you said there because I was typing.
Is TikTok better at short form than YouTube is better at short? Right? That when you force the hand of the competitor, it's like the greatest thing ever. And that's what I'm saying about right now. Netflix is being forced by YouTube, and that is a great position to be. And that, as a creator, so going back to why this is important to talk about, as a creator, that's something to take notice of. The platforms that are losing will pay more money to get the thing they don't have because it's the shortcut to doing that thing versus YouTube. It took 20 years to get here.
Yeah, I mean, I still look at it slightly differently, but I think we land in the same place, which is that this is the exact same dynamic that played out on TV. And the reason I agree with you that we need to pay attention to the things like the phone, right? We need to remember that YouTube scales more than any other platform has ever in the history of media, right? But the reason I'm so adamant to talk about the TV is because it's so under discussed, right? We're in the TV era, right? And it's the same dynamics that played out in TV are about to play out in the creator space. And if you can get ahead of those things, well, geez, you're ready to go. Which brings us actually to the second item of follow-up, which is about what we talked about last week related to Instagram potentially killing the feed. I don't know if you noticed this, but has your Instagram been updated with the new format?
No.
So it's not exactly the same.
Should I update it right now?
Sure, you can do it live, and I can show you mine as well. What I'm showing Benji right now is this is the normal feed, right? But look what they've added down here. Of course, they have a Reels tab.
Yes.
By the way, they made it easier than ever to swipe between the two.
Yeah.
And then over here, they actually added a DMs tab as well on the bottom bar. So remember what we said? DMs, Reels, and I forget, and stories. Those were the three things.
Can you make it so it automatically pops up in your DMs?
What do you mean it automatically pops up in your DMs?
So when I go on Instagram and I'm going to check a DM, there's a lot of times where I get distracted by the first post because it's so good or like it's a friend of mine or another creator.
Oh, that's a good question.
Right? And I was thinking if you could set it to that. Now, it wouldn't be in Instagram's best interest because they get you into that feed. So anyways.
I don't know if that's the case, but all I'm saying is that they're moving things around in the app, which again, to me is always a signal that things are changing, right?
The DMs being in the middle on the bottom bar is significant to me
100%.
because they know it's an important place for people to go to. Now, if you can set it so it just opens up to that, I think that hurts content on there, right? But it helps the user.
Yeah, and I bet you, given that it's Facebook or Meta owned, that they won't do that, just knowing how they behave. But it does exactly highlight what we talked about last week. Literally the three things that they said on that stage are that stories, Reels, and DMs are the three things that are driving growth on the platform. Think about what the first three tabs are. Stories, Reels, DMs.
Is it? Is stories the first thing?
Well, that's the only way you can access stories is by going to the home feed.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so stories, Reels. So you go down the list and they're changing it. Now, the thing that's interesting to me is that the actual viewing experience on TikTok, this is the thing that Adam Mosseri highlighted last week, is that between the home tab and the Reels tab, there's really not actually as much difference other than the way that the UI looks and slight changes to the algorithm. There's actually a lot more similarity than people realize. It's just that Reels tends to draw from a larger network across all of Instagram, whereas home tends to draw from your following a little bit more, like the people you follow. So that's really the main distinction, right? Now he's saying that, listen, you people are watching more Reels than you're watching things from your friends. And so why wouldn't we just put that as the first tab in the first place? But this gets at a really amazing essay that I found, I think last week, by Derek Thompson called Everything is Television. I think it was published October 10th, so I guess it was 2 weeks ago. And I just want to read you a statistic from it that he highlights, which I think gets at the heart of things. And I'll kind of explain the heart of the essay here in just a second. He says, more than 80% of the time spent on Facebook and more than 90% of the time spent on Instagram is spent watching videos. I'll say that again. 80% of the time, more than 80% of the time on Facebook and more than 90% of the time on Instagram is spent watching videos. Now, maybe that's unsurprising to you, but when I think that about how people think about Instagram, they think photos, right? Even though they probably watch a ton of reels, right? They probably think of reels, but if I ask them what Instagram is, they say it's a photo sharing app, right? On Facebook, I bet you the number one people think about is posts from my friends, maybe photos and text. They don't necessarily think about videos. 80% of time. That's 80% of time on the platform. That's so much time. 90% of the time on Instagram spent watching videos. That's almost all of the time.
Yeah, I don't think most people would explain it as a photo app anymore.
Really? You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think that they knew that was the origin, but especially if you just started in the last 5 years, you wouldn't explain it that way. You might still explain it as a social media platform, right?
Sure,
Where
yeah.
you connect
I would
with
say
family.
social media for sure.
What's that?
Social media for sure.
Yeah,
would just be
social
the
media
broader
for
statement.
sure. But
what would you even call social media at this point? To me, when you're saying social media, what I hear now based off of these statistics is I'm watching short form videos on my phone.
totally, I agree with that.
And I don't know that people consciously would connect the two to one another. They still think that it's about these other things, which is what Adam Mosseri is trying to say. That's just my perspective.
Yeah. I think that people are just nostalgic. They like how things were, right? Now, on that note, some of our best performing posts, me and Judy right now on Instagram, are carousels, which do include a lot of photos, but also include some videos sometimes,
Interesting,
right?
yeah.
So there is still that audience there because I think the brain rot thing happened on Instagram Reels. So there's people that want just the feed, the regular feed and swiping through. But you see one good post and it's a Reels, you click in to watch a whole thing in its entirety. And guess what? You're off to the races swiping, which probably happens more often than anything else. And by the numbers, it's explaining for sure. So
no matter how anybody would describe what's what in this scenario, that the statistics are undeniable. People are treating these things as TikTok. Basically, you open Facebook, you've opened TikTok. Basically,
100%.
You've opened Instagram, you've opened TikTok.
100%.
And this is what he goes on to say, is that social media has evolved from text. This is what you're exactly saying, Benji. From text to photo to video. And then he says, this is the interesting part, to streams of text, photo, and video. And finally, it has seemed to reach a kind of settled end state in which TikTok and Meta are trying to become the exact same thing. A screen showing hours and hours of video made by people we don't know. Social media has turned into television. Now, you could quibble with the definition. He goes on later to basically say his definition of television is a screen showing hours and hours of video by people we don't know, right? And I think that that's undeniable. He then goes on to say, the most successful podcasts these days are all becoming YouTube shows. Industry analysts say that consumption of video podcasts is growing 20 times faster than audio-only ones. And more than half of the world's top shows are now released in video versions.
I don't even know how audio only even exists.
I can tell you, but I would nerd out too much. So I'm just going to continue with the quote. YouTube has quietly become the most popular platform for podcasts, and it's not even close. On Spotify, the number of video podcasts has nearly tripled since 2023, and video podcasts are significantly outgrowing non-video podcasts. Does it really make sense to insist on an audio-only podcast in 2025? I do not think so. Reality is screaming loudly in my ear, and its message is clear. Podcasts are turning into television.
You're the only person that suggests audio podcasts to me, and I listen to it not even on the platform for it. I just listen to it on the web
web
player.
browser?
Yes.
Wow, that's
and I literally have to pull up the web browser page and then press play and pause and hope I don't lose my spot. That's how bad
that's
it is.
dark. That's actually very dark.
Yeah, I don't use any other platforms. I am just all YouTube. Now I'm definitely unique, but I don't know. I think a lot of people
I don't think you're unique.
just
I think
are
that
one
that's pretty
place.
common.
Wait, why not? It's like all your playlists are there, your watch later is there, the
One-stop
algorithm that
shop.
Yes.
algorithm is there, so I like it, and it gives me everything I need for those longer videos or whatever. So it's kind of like TikTok viewers being so committed to TikTok, even though they could go to Instagram Reels and see the same content basically because creators upload there, and YouTube Shorts. I just like TikTok. I like how it feels. So why would I go anywhere else? And that's why if other platforms started, like Amazon even has their own short form
Yes,
section.
I know.
It's going to be impossible to
The
go there.
Guitar Tab app I use has its own short form section.
And so they're doing that because it might keep them on there. But will it ever break the habit of like watching your favorite type of content on the platform that you love? And probably not.
Absolutely not.
And that's why. And sadly, what happens is you used to use like maybe 100 apps, and now we're just using like 3 or 4. You know.
And so what he finishes to say is that all 3 and 4 or 4 of those are all becoming the same thing. So he says, television seems to be the attractor of all media. And by television, I am referring to something bigger than broadcast TV, the cable bundle, or Netflix. In his 1974 book, Television, Technology and the Cultural Form, Raymond Williams wrote that, quote, in all communication systems before television, the essential items were discrete. That is, a book is bound and finite, existing on its own terms. There's a beginning and end. Right? A play is performed in a particular theater at a set hour. There's a beginning and end. Williams argued that television shifted culture from discrete and bounded products to a continuous streaming sequence of images and sounds, which he called, quote unquote, flow. When I say that, quote, everything is turning into television, end quote, what I mean is that disparate forms of media and entertainment are converging on one thing, the continuous flow of episodic video. YouTube is no exception, but they are unique amongst all of the television apps, right? Everyone else is doing that continuous flow of video by doing short form. You watch 30 seconds and you swipe. You watch 30 seconds and you swipe. YouTube, you're watching 30 minutes and then you click. Or maybe sometimes you watch 30 minutes and you autoplay the next one, just like old TV. So I just bring this up because number one, it highlights exactly what's happening on all these other platforms. And number two, it highlights how YouTube is actually the best positioned of all of them. And so I think that it's kind of incredible. There's lots we could talk about the importance and implications of TV. We should probably get into topics here soon, but I want to hear your final thoughts about the changes at Instagram, the competition with YouTube, and what that all means for the space of creators.
Man, Instagram is all I mean, just think about Meta. They're always like the copycat like platform. They do what other platforms. This is why they used to buy platforms. Like that's how they got Instagram.
Yes.
And then they couldn't buy it legally. I think they had like monopoly like questions. And so what I think about Instagram doing all this stuff, yes, number one type of content people are consuming is video. Hence why Instagram went from Instagram photos to Instagram reels. They should that's what it should be called. The reels platform, right? Not the social platform or whatever it's called. I'm like curious what the thing is. And the king of it is YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. And so what's cool about YouTube, they also have short form as an option. I, being a YouTube guy, I do watch the short form on there.
Of course.
I actually think I watch more Instagram reels for short form than I do YouTube shorts. But I definitely watch way, way more YouTube long form than I ever do if you added up all the reels consumption on Instagram. And that's just because, again, how many reels can I consume in a 10 minutes versus a 10-minute YouTube video? And that's just a one video. And oftentimes I might watch 2 or 3 of those. So this is why if you look on, I think a lot of people's like screen times, YouTube is number one. If not, at least tied for number one for the other app that is your favorite. So
yeah,
video is a way to go. And that's been the case, by the way, though, since like 2014 when all these other platforms started integrating video. And this is just the natural progression of it.
Yeah, it is the natural progression of it. I think that I bring it up because it speaks to your experience with it, speaks to the broader statistics that everybody sees now, which is that streaming is beating out broadcast TV. Short form is competing with YouTube for sure, but it's in terms of monetarily, YouTube's kind of clearing the table for creators. Like it really is the number one winning thing for everybody, simply because AdSense alone is there. And the number one streaming platform of all of them is YouTube. And so more and more, I just want to bring it up now to kind of plant our flag in the ground once again, which is that TV is YouTube is the new TV. And if you want to take advantage of that, the best way to do it is to build for TV, which is another opportunity for us to bring up Vlogging Academy. One of the kind of core things that we found out as we developed Vlogging Academy was that the TV was the driving factor of what was making these really long videos on YouTube have success. And your goal was to find the easiest way to make those long videos so that way you could add tons of supply at the time that it's easiest to grow on the platform on YouTube. And that's, if I'm understanding correctly, what gave you the impetus to create the new vlogging method when you originally started. So can you tell us why it's the easiest way to get started on YouTube to take advantage of the new vlogging method?
Yeah, well, the way vlogs started was you're vlogging your life. And whatever you were already doing in your life, if you document it, it's an easy way to get content out. Just the new way to vlog is you're just vlogging the most interesting part of your life, not just to the audience, but also to yourself. And ultimately, it just makes it easier. And so when you're already doing something, for me, I go shopping for groceries. And one thing that I've really picked up and do even more just because it's fun content for me, and I would do it anyways, is Costco shopping. So instead of the Costco shopping being part of a greater day, it is the vlog itself. And it's really easy to create content because before people would have questioned, like, is my whole Costco trip interesting? It might not be interesting to everyone, but to some people, it's super interesting. And because we have so many people on YouTube interested in different topics, you can vlog something very super focused and you can do it for a long time. My best performing videos are all 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a number everyone asks, how long should my vlogs be? I'm telling even Judy, who just had some 1 out of 10s. If you know what that means, you know that that's a good thing. Basically, it's her top performing videos of the last month or so. All were 30 minutes long. And there's a deeper discussion about that. But vlogging is the easiest way to create a 30-minute video versus doing what traditionally we've been doing now, and especially on short form, high production, right? Lots of edits, lots of different cuts, lots of different angles. Well, with vlogging, it's one angle. Sometimes it's talking head, and sometimes there's no edits or cuts or very few. And then boom, you can do daily uploads, which, by the way, me and Judy are doing. And it's crazy. It's not really affecting our life as much as I thought. We picked it up like nothing because we were doing it for so long.
Which is the beauty of vlogging.
And so Judy, not always, she even said it on the live stream the other day. I'm not following Benji's vlogging account, but she actually did acknowledge sometimes I do.
Yeah.
I am listening to what he's telling me to do. And so what we're trying to do is do more the new vlogging method. And that's what you learn at Vlogging Academy, which helps you vlog longer videos and make it really easy.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about how to become a student, you can go to vloggingacademy.com, and our thanks to the students of Vlogging Academy for supporting this show. Let's get into some topics, starting with some follow-out. You were recently on Nolan Molt's show. He's back at it again on YouTube. He has a great experience with teaching people how to be strategic and find tons of success on YouTube. He's always impressing me with the way that he looks at the platform. He can see the green lines of the matrix more than most people I know, honestly, to use your terminology. And you got to be on his show and he interviewed you a little bit. I just want to ask you about kind of like what the experience was like, what you kind of like left with there. And I want to tell you about like my reaction to watching it after the fact, because I thought it was a great episode.
I was the one that said, hey, you want to create some content? I'm going to be in your neighborhood. Let's set up an interview. Both because we have similar audiences. He has an audience of people wanting to be on YouTube and learn about creating content for the platform. So naturally, I thought I could add some value. And then also just, we always have chemistry when it comes to this topic, right, of YouTube content creation and being creators. And, the big question that he had was, what is different about YouTube?
Yeah.
I've been vlogging with my wife for over a decade, 15, 16 years now, and we've been doing it the old way. And he wanted to know, what is the new way? What is working for you right now? And so this is why I talk about the new vlog method. And my big takeaway is even someone like Nolan. It's funny because it was a very organic conversation. He didn't give me the questions. He didn't even tell me really the direction. He just threw all kinds of stuff at me. And even someone like him still thinks the old way, even though there's a new behavior, new devices, TV being the big one, and kind of a different type of expectation from the audience. So nothing wrong with that because he teaches people how to use that strategy or whatever. And it's funny, at one point I was saying this and I said, I wish I could rip up my YouTube secrets book. I only meant half the book. Okay. The first half is classic, will last forever. We should definitely do a third edition, in my opinion. But I was trying to rip up the old way of thinking, because we're in such a new era. And even him, who kind of understands the new era we're in, still has these old habits or these old ways of doing things, or in his case, old ways of thinking about content. Now, it still works because there's still plenty of creators that get views in that manner. What I'm saying is the TV is so big, not just like in size.
Yeah.
It's so big for the platform.
Exactly.
Because it not even forces, it invites 30-minute viewing sessions. And explaining to that in real time was kind of wild to me, because we don't talk often, right? And so it's like catching up with an old friend. And we did that on purpose to hold all the YouTube conversation until the interview. And that was kind of like my big takeaway. Even him, he was learning something new from me, even though he's a YouTube expert.
Yeah, I mean, if you've watched any of the stuff on his show, kind of the old days of video influencers with you and Sean, or even Think Media stuff, like it's really worth going to watch that episode. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's kind of was my takeaway too, which is that he's with you 100%. And like the thing I really appreciate, I have appreciated working with you on this Vlogging Academy thing for the last couple of years, is just how adamant you are about the importance of getting those videos out. So important to actually create and ship those videos, but B, just recognizing the state of the platform and taking advantage of it while the picking's good, right? Instead of kind of like doing the old thing where the fields are all picked away, right? And hoping that you can get the last couple strawberries off the vine, so to speak, right? Whereas you have this whole new field of strawberries that are freshly unpicked, ready to go. So I really recommend anybody, I mean, go watch that episode. I've dropped the link in the chat, and check it out, because Nolan did a great job interviewing you, I think, and you did a great job kind of like holding that line once again, which kind of gets us to the next thing that I want to talk about, which is about some of the backlash to Sora and AI videos over the last week. There's this new thing that has been going on. I just want to read you from Casey Newton from Platformer, sends out this newsletter. He does a great job talking about social platforms and kind of talking about it at a high level. And I want to read from it really quick, which might be of interest to you, Benji, because I know that Pinterest has an important place in your heart as it relates to social media, which most people wouldn't think about. So one place where this has been true is Pinterest, the mood board site, which has been besieged by AI-generated imagery over the past year. On Thursday, introduced a feature to allow users to limit but not entirely block AI-generated images in their recommendation. The change followed a move earlier this year to begin labeling AI-generated images as such. As Sarah Perez noted at TechCrunch, Pinterest has come under fire from its user base all year for the perceived decline in quality of the service as the percentage of slop there increases. Many people use the service to find real objects they can buy and use. The more that those objects are replaced by AI fantasies, the worse Pinterest becomes for them. I wanted to bring this up because it's really interesting that Pinterest is kind of leading the pack here when it comes to kind of some of this AI combating stuff, because of their sort of unique user base, in my opinion. But I also think it speaks to something that we talked about recently, which is the quality of AI videos. And I feel like it's at tension with some of your perspectives of what you think the future of AI is. I know that you believe in the power of AI to enable people creatively, but at the same time, you're seeing these platforms build up all these safeguards against AI alongside that as well. So you have these two competing things that are eventually going to go head to head. So I'm curious about what you think about that.
Yeah, I actually would match the sentiment, I think, of a lot of people. I'm questioning everything I'm seeing on short form feed. So on Instagram, I'll watch something. And by the way, I actually still use X too. So sometimes their short form platform, I'm like, is this real or not? I don't like that. The fact that that's even a question I have to ask.
Kind of exhausting.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, is this real or not? And then, the good thing about on X, to their credit, they have Grok explaining, hey, this is a fake video. Oh, not only is it an AI generated video, they also have a link promoting it. Oh, Grok is awesome at that on their posts. So they're always calling it out, so I don't have to. Now, the second place you go is the comments, right? But you know what I'm finding now, and I don't know if this is bots or just people don't care, you're not seeing as much, oh, this is AI generated. Now you're just seeing people engage with the content, okay? I personally, from my own behavior, from my own user experience, I don't like the AI content at all, right? Because it's not even anything against it, because on the flip side, I have a whole different sentiment like that we should talk about. But yeah, we're going through growing pains. That's what's happening, right? Sora is interesting because when you go on there, you know everything's fake. So I think that was a smart play. But on other platforms, that's the thing. Sometimes I don't see the Sora logo. So I don't know how they're doing it, or maybe they're making it on another platform that doesn't require it. So I thought about it this morning, because I knew this was going to be a discussion, a follow-up to our last, like commentary about Sora. I think we're talking in relation to Mark Cuban and his brand being on there. It reminds me of the early days of TikTok, which the early days was Musical.ly. What was it known for? Dance challenges. And a lot of people would say like that was like brain rot before brain rot was even a term.
Yeah.
And people like, oh, who would want to watch that? Now everybody watches short form content. So though I don't like it, and yes, like Pinterest is creating this kind of like filtering function so that you don't get as much AI. I think it'd be good if they said no to all AI, honestly. But the risk there is maybe you catch something that's not AI, right? And
exactly.
Or it's maybe using AI. That's another thing too. Like if you're using AI in your editing software, it might catch that. And if it labels AI, so that's what I'm saying. The growing pains. But I just think we're in the early days where it's just so, it's like a whole nother universe that we're in. And we're like seeing these moons and planets and stars and Milky Ways that we just don't, that we've never like experienced. And we're just kind of figuring out, hey, what's kind of the right flow of things. So I have like a contrasting sentiment. On one side,
yes,
I think it's annoying that I have to think about this, and I don't want all this unreal stuff unless I sign up for it going on Sora, right? Or if it's blatantly obvious, like they need to have an AI like watermark or something. On the flip side, I think AI is getting so crazy good, then that's why it's tricking people, and that creators and even non-creators are going to use it so much, it's inevitable. Just like, could you have ever imagined in the Musical.ly era, that's 2015, someone would say, yeah, this platform, Musical.ly, is going to force YouTube to do Musical.ly type of content. No one would have even believed you. And now they actually are. It's not called Musical.ly, it's called TikTok. And it's not even called TikTok, it's called short form. But ultimately, those dance videos were the beginning of a huge part of YouTube. I think AI right now, AI generated content is the beginning of the type of content everyone's going to use. The difference is it's already happening right now on all platforms.
Let me provide some context. One of the things that happened I think it was this week, was that Elon Musk on X posted I think Grok generated video that was kind of a somewhat long form version of a couple things.
That futuristic one I showed you?
Yeah, the futuristic one. Yeah, that was one of the things that you talked to me about, is like how impressed you were with his ability I was impressed when you showed me the fact that he was able to have character consistency across shots, which was crazy to me. I know some other platforms offer that as well, but that kind of represents the other side of the thing that you're talking about here, right? Which is that there is some availability for more people to do creation at a level that they wouldn't have been able to do before, which is kind of what you're saying, right?
Yes. I mean, it's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
What people are going to be able to do. We could go into an hour-long discussion about it, but what used to take a lot of money, a lot of equipment, and potentially in a lot of cases a huge team, one kid can do in 10 minutes. And so if a kid can do it in 10 minutes, imagine what that kid or anyone can do in 10 hours. And the only limitation, ironically, is the equipment you're using and your internet connection and the platform's ability to serve you. And this whole the quick summary is you can only do like 6 to 8 second AI videos. I think there's certain software that lets you do longer videos, but you're not doing like 10-minute or 60-minute for sure. But my question is, well, what's stopping somebody from putting all these short clips? And Elon Musk literally did that.
Yeah.
And that's why he's explaining a character that's at the very beginning, a futuristic looking woman, and it consistently was the same character throughout, which kind of makes sense because Sora, you can build on your AI generated video and it's the same character. Oftentimes it's you, right?
Yeah, real-time follow-up here. There, according to TechCrunch and Al Jazeera, the Grok AI checker is not reliable, and that it's actually there's some experts that are, take it with whatever grain of salt that you want, but that there are some fact checkers that are concerned about the kind of level of trust that people have in it. So just beware if you're using Grok as your fact checker, because I know from a technical perspective, it's really hard to actually do that, because the way that these things work is they call them adversarial networks, basically. What that means is that you have one network that's generating these AI videos and another one whose job is to guess whether or not it did a good job or whether it's AI. And if it guesses right, well, it loses and it goes again until it's better and better. So literally that kind of adversary is part of the loop about how these things improve. So that's your real-time follow-up. But on the note of creating, on the flip side of things and away from AI, people got to use cameras to do it the old-fashioned way. You and I are over here kind of like, we're still like cobbling things together, right? The old-fashioned way. And your tool of choice is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Is that right? I always get confused with the name. Osmo Pocket 3. There's been this crazy thing that has happened over the past actually year, but really over the last couple of months, where there is a way to get an Osmo Pocket 3 asterisk for $250, or last I checked, actually $270.
Really?
Cheaper.
Cheaper.
It's about $500. $500.
Which was the original price, by the way.
Which was the original price. So let's get to that in just a second. So let me give you a timeline. It's called the XTRA Muse, XTRA Muse, M-U-S-E. And if you look at pictures of it and the Osmo side by side, they look almost identical, except for a couple of finishing touches and the brand at the bottom. And so you might be thinking, well, this is just a knockoff version of the DJI Osmo. Well, let me tell you why people think that it's not. So here's the timeline. In March, the company XTRA forms. March of this year, by the way. In summer, it gets FCC certification to start distributing their products in the US. So that's like just a couple of months ago. And September, just last month, they started selling their cameras in the US. Now, people got these and they got them delivered and they're like, wait a minute, this is super weird. This looks almost exactly like a DJI Osmo. Like, I might as well get it. I kind of want to see how it is. And then the really nerdy people started taking these things apart. And here's what they found. This is from, I forget who, but somebody from The Verge. It might have been Sean Hollister. Yeah, Sean Hollister at The Verge. He says, number one, these cameras use the exact same components inside, the same boards, the same chips as DJI, according to FCC teardowns. Number two, security consultant John Sawyer scanned XTRA's app for us, and we discovered countless places where DJI's code has been copied and pasted with only names like quote-unquote DJI replaced. Number three, despite changing names like DJI, whoever did this didn't remove 7,552 references to DJI's Lightcut video editing app, and even a reference to DJI's Avinox e-bike drive system, something like that. Number four, DJI would not deny that it is connected to XTRA when I asked for the company point blank, which is something that they could have done easily. And number five, I bought the dang thing myself and compared it directly to my own Osmo Pocket 3. And he actually posted a video where he literally puts them side by side, and it is indistinguishable.
I've seen
They
the
start up
videos.
the same. They look the same. It's almost exactly the same, including some of the UI and stuff like that. There's one exception here, which is important, but we'll get to that in a second. I just think it's crazy that this is happening. I want to hear your reaction to it, because there's whole sorts of like political things that are going kind of leading to this, but I'll get to the exception at the end.
Yeah, well, I've used the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 arguably more than any human on Earth.
Yes.
Okay, I've vlogged. I calculated this the other day. I've literally done finished vlogs in the last 2 years, probably 450. Okay, 450 finished vlogs. So every single day I'm using this. Also, I know how it feels. It's like an extension of my body. So when I watch these videos, I was paying attention. I haven't held it, and I'm gonna totally buy it. I'm gonna actually buy it.
Are you really?
Just totally gonna buy it, right? Because I've seen enough to know, like, okay, it is. Also, I understand the manufacturing process because I've manufactured in China before at a factory there, and what I know is it's not that hard for a factory to literally get hired by another company to create the same product. And what I also know politically is tariffs.
Yeah.
It's a way to get around the tariffs. I'm actually surprised it did work, right? And my question is, where is this camera from? Where's like the production, like production,
like the factory, for example.
Yeah, like what on the box it'll say made in China. I'm curious, where is it made from? Because that tells you a lot. But still, I think if it records, ultimately, this is the real question: does the audience even know?
Yeah, that's a great
audience
point.
doesn't care what you shoot on. That is the cool thing about content creation. The audience doesn't care. I keep saying, use your phone. Because,
I literally use my phone.
Yeah, because iPhones especially, it's so good. I think all like high-end phones, you're going to get a great camera. So who cares? So it doesn't even have to be 100% like it. The form factor and the ability to record in even just 1080 is all you need. So that's why, and I've been paying attention to the price because I need one, right? It finally broke after 400 and I'm still using. It's funny. I have a brand new Osmo 3 at home that I haven't opened it up.
Oh,
I'm
really?
just waiting for this one to finally find. That's the way we roll, me and Judy, right? Like the screws
Use
are
it to the
falling off
last
our
leg.
Canons. So I'm like waiting till it, and then I will have it ready. But if it does the exact same thing, this new one that I'm going to also purchase, then why wouldn't you? Because I've been paying attention to the price go from like 450 to 500. At the height, I think I saw a package was like $950, $1,000, and obviously I didn't buy that. But it's smart for them to find a way to sell it at 500 because it's hindering people from being customers of theirs.
Yeah.
And so their workaround, whether it's legal or not, I don't know. I think it's smart, and I would totally recommend this. I'm gonna buy it so that I can suggest it or not.
Yeah, we'll have to do follow up on that when you do, because I'm very curious about it. There is one piece of it, but just to put a point on it, people think that DJI is basically just put a different shell on this thing, literally including the software, and is shipping it as this extra brand in the US.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of people who are like, well, this is a super popular camera now for creators. Well, this is just a great way for creators to get this camera
Cheaper.
and use it for cheaper, except for the one exception, which is the microphone. One of the big reasons that you love this thing is because it has direct connection to these DJI mics. Almost all of the creators that we've talked to that have this camera say the exact same thing. The microphone is killer. Literally, the number one complaint that people don't use the iPhone to do it is because you can't pair a DJI mic and use it to record on this thing. And so here's again from Sean Hollister at The Verge, who says the one exception to accessory compatibility is microphones. The DJI Mic 2 and the Mic Mini. Though they can wirelessly connect to the Osmo Pocket 3, the XTRA Muse's settings menu is conspicuously missing that option. But even that might only be a matter of time, because a deep dive through XTRA's app strongly suggests that the company will soon carry DJI's mics, its new Osmo 360 and tiny Osmo Nano, and even its Osmo Mobile line of phone gimbals. So right now, don't go rush out there if you need the microphone, but that is the one small exception to the extra thing, is that you cannot use the mic as it is right now. And again, we'll probably follow up on this if you do end up buying that.
Yeah, so that would be a deal killer for me because I like the microphone. The fact that you can connect your microphone, and now the microphone's getting so small that it's not even noticeable, which is
Totally.
kind of nice. Matt gave me the other one.
Oh, really?
I'm looking at Amazon right now at this. By the way, you can get it for like $4.99 with this coupon that's on
crazy.
there. I'm just trying to see where it's built. Like where is it manufactured from? Because it doesn't tell you that. That's very interesting to me. But this is what I would say. Even without the microphone, I would still recommend it at that price, since the camera is selling. Now, I will say you can go to Costco and get it for $5.99 right now.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Huh.
I
The
bought it for-
Osmo, you mean?
The Osmo, and
Really?
it comes with the creator bundle,
interesting.
not the microphone though. So with the extra battery and the tripod thing. So I did buy that. That's why I bought it.
A little Benji Man TV crossover here. Costco video in the middle of a Creator
yeah.
Secrets video.
I always actually go buy it. I have a feeling though, tariffs, that's a whole nother topic. It's going to settle down by Black Friday, by the holidays. You're going to be able to get the actual DJI Osmo probably for a crazy good price. And I almost thought, maybe I should have waited since I've waited this long. But I might actually buy. I vlog so much though. I have extra cameras as a backup, so I might buy a second backup if it's a good enough price. Because the big question is, when is the next one coming out?
As they say, one is none. On the other end of the YouTube production pipeline is the people who are actually watching the videos, not necessarily just creating the videos. And so that gives us an opportunity to talk about something else that happened this week, which is that Instagram's not the only one that's changing their app. YouTube is too. They have a brand new video player. And actually, I asked you before the show if you'd seen this new video player, and you said no. So I was hoping that Neutrally could pull up an image for us, and we can kind of describe it for the audience if they're listening in. So not this one. If you can pull up the other one. This is the way that the new video player looks, which is, I think this is the TV version. Which is that
TV version.
Which is that it's much more sparse.
It's cleaner.
It's a little cleaner.
Less, just the bare minimum, which makes sense for the TV.
And I will say that on the computer version, it's not all that different. It's just that the play button's over at the left side and things like that. Now, of course, people are complaining because change always leads to these things. And it's kind of the trend right now to kind of go this direction. I have perspectives on it as it relates to virtual reality, actually, which is crazy, but we won't talk about that today. That's a story for another time. But I wanted to just highlight this because Neutrally, if you can pull up the history of this thing, the last time we had a major change to the YouTube app was 2015. Really.
Okay, couple things. Number one, seeing that since 2015, that gives me so much comfort just looking at that bar compared to what I just said. Just saw, right? It's funny how I'm like so comforted by that. And then almost laughable, the 2005 one.
Yeah, I know.
Just a play and a pause.
To put a word on it, the thing that we were looking at was that there's the entire history of all of YouTube's controls for their video thing. At the very beginning, if you remember the days of Flash, those are the Flash video players.
Put it back on.
Where you can see the, it was kind of beveled. It almost looked like metal or something like that, maybe plastic to some degree. It was like it was coming out of the thing a little bit. And then it became kind of brushed metal over time with these big circular kind of inset buttons that looked almost bulbous to some degree with the crazy, this is 2006, with the crazy kind of like volume slider with like the actual like curve of the volume curve there. And then you get to kind of more the iconic ones. Like if you were OG, I would say in like the 2006 to 2008 era, this is after Google buys it, that red bar just became so iconic that you'd see this red bar across the bottom, that YouTube red with the volume weirdly still on the right side of the player. And then eventually all the way down the list to kind of the more modern ones that look a little flatter with like some like the kind of black color at the bottom. And now finally, you can see there's lots of change in the first 10 years.
Show me the TV one again, Neutrally, real quick. Okay, there's one thing missing from that I thought the current viewing bar has, which is the length of the video. Look at that, for almost 10 years.
I think it actually does. Let me see.
Oh, it does?
New
Okay, yeah.
Video player.
Because the new video player is not actually playing, right? But the reason I bring up the length of the video, so many people are deciding what video they're going to choose and watch
by the length, right?
By the length.
Yeah.
So this question, right? It was a question everybody obsessed about, was like, Benji, how long should my videos be? I think in the book we address this, and I mean the short answer is it needs to be as long as it should be.
Yeah.
Right now though, for the new era,
try and hit that 30-minute mark.
I'm saying 30 minutes. 30 minutes has a lot of backstory to it. The backstory really is our both our lives and TV viewing was based off of half-hour increments, 30 minutes, okay? 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 2 hours. But it's influencing YouTube. But the thing about the 30 minutes, right? Like, it's just like the next, like, level. It's the next level because also it's so far from 10 minutes that yeah, you can consume that. I think really 30 minutes is a magical number. Now, we just had like 2 of our best performing videos on YouTube, and both of them were like freakishly close to 30 minutes.
Let's talk about that, which is the kind of final segment of the show that we try and do every week, which is our film room topic, which you sent me a couple of images this week of videos uploaded to It's Judy's Life and how they were performing during this gigantic Vlogtober push that you and Judy have been doing through this month of October, kind of inspired by Vlogging Academy. So tell us more about that. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to give us a clean break here about this final segment of the show.
Yeah, so, my wife and I, we've been vlogging for over 15 years. And when we started with this thing called Vlogtober in 2011. And that was 7 days a week for basically 30 days, right? And we didn't stop. And so for 8 years, we were vlogging 7 days a week and we didn't miss any. Like, it's kind of crazy that we didn't miss anything. Even when we're doing 24-hour broadcasts for charity, still Judy would edit something and get it up, okay? And those videos, though, to be fair, sometimes were like 5 or 6 minute vlogs, but they were the old way of vlogging. And then we started tapering from 7 days to 6 days of 5 days. So recently, because I've been applying the new vlog method and teaching it, Judy got inspired, said, hey, I want to do the Vlogtober challenge too. It's funny. She's probably doing it the best out of everybody I know and like doing the challenge, including better than me, but we're both, to be fair, vlogging, right? And so she's been vlogging every day. We haven't done this in 7 years. I've done it on my channel 2 years ago when I started the new vlogging method. And so it's cool to see, number one, Judy getting into this mode again. It's like I explain it as, Tom Brady, getting out of retirement, putting that announcer, headset down and putting on a helmet and getting on the field. Like it really is like that. And it's just like riding a bicycle for her. And so you're seeing a new level of motivation and energy. It's not like she wasn't having that before, but it was only 3 days a week. So she went from 3 days to 7 days. Secondly, guess what? We're putting up the reps. Not all of them are top performing because that's impossible, right? I guess you could have an upward trajectory. But just recently, we had 2 videos that really popped off. And what's interesting is Judy does not follow my new vlog method to the T every single vlog. There's still a lot that are the old way of doing it. But these 2 were the new vlog method. And so they not only are focused on a specific topic, right? And both of these were family vacations of ours, but the title and the thumbnail are packaged in a certain way where it kind of relates to the topic of the vlog. Now, to be fair, it's still the day of our vlog, but still it focuses on one thing. And so that's why these 2 vlogs popped off. I mean, to the point where like one is about to hit 100,000 views, right? And another one is at like 70, 80,000 and we'll just keep going there. But her applying the new vlog method, and I was part of the packaging of it. And packaging, for anyone that doesn't know, is how we talk about the title and thumbnail and how important it is. Because the old way of vlogging, you kind of just revolved your vlog around your daily life all day, and the title and thumbnail were still important packaging, right? But it was just more lifestyle based. Now it's more topical, it's more focused, and you're just vlogging the thing that you're covering, which it would be your topic. And it just, everything hits. So it's just cool to see. And of course, guess what's going up? Our AdSense is going way up, in addition to our views going way up. And we're seeing old subscribers come back to our channel.
Really?
Oh my gosh, you weren't on my radar. Like, oh, it's so cool to see you doing daily vlogs again. I haven't watched you in like 5 years.
Sorry, that's on the last 2 videos that you're uploaded, or just generally over the course of the month?
Generally a thing. But
Really?
you're going to get more views, which means you're going to get more discovery, both from new viewers, but also old viewers. And so there's something, I call it nostalgia. There's something powerful about nostalgia. And the fact that Judy's doing Vlogtober too and openly talking about it, people like it, especially if you remember how we started over, 14 years ago?
Yeah.
15 years ago.
I have a question for you. So Judy's been doing this every day in October, which is
every single day. And if she doesn't do a vlog, she just goes live, right, to fill that daily hit, which I respect, because even me, I haven't. And to be fair, though, it's because I'm vlogging with her. It's Judy's life. So I've kind of made an exception there because, man, to do double time if I was going to be able to do it, it's like, I mean,
both of I just want to give you both props. I mean, it's amazing what you guys are able to do. I mean, I've uploaded 1 video this whole month.
We're going to definitely upload between my channel and her channel 45 proper vlogs this month probably.
And I think that it speaks to me, the number one thing that speaks to is how important vlogging is to the strategy that we advocate for on YouTube. The fact that it is taking things you're already doing in your life, and that is the part that allows the authenticity to shine through, but it's also the part that allows you to keep it sustained over a period of time. I mean, if you and Judy had to go in and manufacture something that wasn't going to happen already in any given day in order to make this happen, you wouldn't have uploaded 45 videos at the end of this month, right? You maybe would have done like 15 maximum, right? It would have been hard to do even, I would say 10. I would say, I don't know, maybe you guys could do it, but I think it's really difficult to produce videos in that way. But there's an authenticity that you guys are able to tap into. But I wanted to ask you a question. Your channel has been dedicated to doing it, the new vlogging method. You say that Judy kind of does it sometimes. Of the last 22 days or 21 days of Vlogtober, what percentage, what number of those 21 vlogs are closer to the new vlogging method versus the
100%.
Really?
Because even though I say those two are like full new vlog method, and even though she would say, yeah, I don't always follow it, but she does follow principles of the new vlog method.
Break that down for us.
Okay, so for example, I told you back in our old vlogging method days, right, when we were doing 7 days a week, sometimes the videos would be like 5 or 6 minutes. Well, why? It wasn't because we only recorded 5 or 6 minutes. It's because she would super edit a very produced vlog. It was very punchy. It had a lot of cuts. It got right to the point. It's very entertaining and engaging. And one of the things that I believe has let her, because her life, the reason we actually taper down is because we have 5 kids.
Yeah.
So the question is, well, are you not like hanging out with your kids as much? Are you like sacrificing time? Like to a certain degree, like, yeah, you're working a little bit harder, a little bit more, but no, it's actually not, because one of the philosophies we have in the new vlogging method is to not edit as much, to relax it. And she's doing that 100%.
Really? Wow.
So editing is a lot easier. She's not like as consumed, and it's not a 3 or 4 hour vlog. I've seen her actually edit vlogs that are 20 minutes long in less than an hour because she's able to. Now, is it fully relaxed? Is it fully unedited? No. But another thing she's doing that she didn't do before, going live. That's definitely not edited. And she's allowing herself to do that. She wasn't doing that before. But one thing that I believe Judy has learned and has been influenced by me is that people just want you. The real life you. And there's nothing more real than you just going live for 20, 30 minutes. And sometimes these go on to do 15, 20,000 views. Now, you know, like right now our average is between 50 and 100,000 views for the vlogs. But is she going to complain about like no edits?
No edits.
And the live streams are also following another philosophy in the new vlogging method, which is just go live doing the thing you're already doing. So she started as a beauty person on YouTube, right? Beauty guru, doing makeup and hair looks. Well, what I've been telling her is like, honey, just go live while you're doing your makeup, because your audience, that's part of the theme of your channel that they like, right? That beauty is still a big part of it. So a lot of her viewers are into that. And if you're doing it and just speaking your thoughts the way you would in a regular vlog, but in this case, you get a look from beginning to end, and that's what she's doing. Or sometimes she'll be cooking. So it's an unedited cooking session, which she does in the vlogs. And that's allowed her to hit that daily without it. Now, of course, what you're probably saying is like, well, live stream isn't a vlog, but is it not? See, that's the thing. I'm trying to change how we look at the term vlog.
Yeah.
Because vlog had like this actual format and feel for a decade. But when you go back to the early days of a vlog, it's just a video blog. And a blog is just like a written post around something topical or something very specific. And it was the video version of it. And that's what I'm saying. And this is why the 3 T's really matter. Theme for your channel, right? Broadly speaking, like a general interest that you want to be known for. And you're connecting with the audience that's interested in that. And then for every single vlog, the second T, you have a topic and takeaway. So instead of vlogging everything, you're just vlogging the one thing. And the last thing is telling stories, which, by the way, she's starting to do. And she's getting really good at it. She was always good at it, but when she would edit, she again edit out some of the realness of it, and make it something that it is. I mean, it still was an entertaining vlog. I mean, look, billion views later, but now it's different because it's easier, because it's more relaxed, and I would argue it's more of her, the way you would experience in real life, versus something that's produced, which is still reflective of her, but it was for a different kind of value proposition, which is in entertainment. Now it's still entertaining, but it's just hanging out because you have to. Because guess what? People are just watch the short form version of this type of content. And that's why one of my big things I'm pushing is go opposite of short form, go longer. Long. And our top viewed videos right now are 30 minutes long.
Yeah, so that culminates in this thing that happened the last couple of days, which is you posted 2 separate 30-minute videos over the last couple of days, which have both been top performers, which is interesting. But let me quickly back up a little bit and just speak to what you were saying, which is that I kind of see, this is my perspective on it, is that Judy has sort of started up that algorithmic machine a little bit.
Yes.
By posting every single day, the volume has allowed her to A, get those reps in, and B, let the algorithm gain a lot more trust in kind of the level of viewership, right? That also, by the way, probably activates those old subscribers who are interested in it. B,
more hooks in the sea. That's
exactly.
all it is. And outside of the algorithm now starting to suggest us more to people, including old subscribers, there's just more options for the algorithm to put you in front of, right? Because she's not just doing like, so the last 2 that popped off were family vacations, but we have lots of different topics of vlogs underneath her theme. So not everybody might be interested in the family vacation, but they might be interested in like Judy's, cooking session or a home cookout that we just had.
Yeah. And so B, what I was going to say actually is that by following the new vlogging method a little bit, by kind of going more towards the direction of this new vlogging method, it has given the algorithm also even more confidence in its ability to A, suggest these videos because they are longer and it keeps people watching for longer, more connected to you more consistently. But also, on top of that, allows the algorithm to pinpoint some of these topics and takeaways that people may be interested in that reactivate some of those old subscribers, kind of like the old beauty channel would have back in the day, right? People who were interested in beauty stuff, getting to see her do a makeup session live. I mean, that's like game changing for a true fan of Judy from the OG days, right? And then C, I actually have a question for you, which is that one of the interesting things to me is that, yes, maybe she's got this theme, these topics and takeaways, and is telling stories according to the 3 T's of the new vlogging method. But an important piece of that must be some of the packaging that you were talking about, the title and the thumbnail related to things. Has she changed how she's done the title and thumbnails? And then after you tell me that, can we break down the last couple of videos about the story there with the title and thumbnails as well as the new vlogging?
She would say no,
yeah,
but I would say yes, okay? Because those last 2 vlogs are interesting. Both were following the new method, but one still had a huge influence on the old way of vlogging and the title and thumbnail. And the second one was fully the thumbnail.
Paint a picture for me. Yeah. Describe both the thumbnails.
So the first one was I've been keeping a secret. That was the title, okay? That's not something I would say you can't do in the new way of vlogging, but it's very much kind of like a little bit more emotional, a little more dramatic, right? And the thumbnail was just her, and she was like in the house that we were staying at, okay?
It's very personality driven. You have to kind of know Judy in order to really,
you have to know Judy
truly,
or care about Judy to like even care. But it actually was related to the topic. And that's why I say it was. And so the whole vlog was very topical from beginning to end as it relates to the title and thumbnail. Now, the second thumbnail was full on Benji vlog method. In fact, I was the one that came up with the thumbnail.
Oh, interesting.
And I even was the one that dictated the title, okay? And so the thumbnail is our whole family in front of the short-term rental that we were staying at this resort, okay? And so I even took a picture. I don't know what Judy cares about me sharing, but I don't care because this is good for you. I made a point. I'm like, I know what the thumbnail is going to be because we've been doing this. We've been having family vacations or staycations, and we always take a family photo in front of the home that we're staying at. And we've done this multiple times. Every one of those are 100,000 views.
Really?
Every single one.
Wow.
It's crazy, okay? Because there's just something about that for our channel, for our audience, and for that topic of like staying there that works. And then the title was literally like our new home in Eastern Washington. All very true, but it's also playing on this, like people are wondering what we're doing with our next home because we've been building a home for basically 10 years, right? And so, but it was technically our new home for that weekend and the whole vlog was around it. So both versus, see, back in the day, she would have maybe started the vlog earlier in the day, the whole morning, and like, you know, maybe ran an errand or maybe, you know, like showed her working. And then we would have finally halfway through showed up at the resort. Now I've been like, honey, there's no reason to do that. So guess what? It's less for her to edit.
Yeah.
But then everything we do is at the resort. So both of these vlogs, very focused on these topics. But to answer your question about how much she would say she's doing, she's actually doing a lot in terms of the new vlog method.
Wow.
Because it's not just the less editing and more focused vlogs. Also, in phase 1 of the Vlogging Academy, we say go daily or go as often as you can. The biggest takeaway of all this isn't even the amount of views or AdSense or the title and thumbnail or Judy thinking like me or doing it the old way or new way. It's her motivation.
Yeah.
It's wild because when she said that, I was like, well, how are you going to do that? Like 3 days is already a lot. But something like gets lit up inside.
Wow.
And you find this new energy. We have 5 kids. We have multiple channels. We have a business to run, and we do all kinds of stuff, more than we've ever done. We're more busy now than we ever were, even when the kids were babies, okay? Because even back then, we had bigger support, bigger team. Like, the machine was running. Why is she able to do this? I really, to give myself credit, I've allowed her with my new vlog method philosophy to let her just be herself even more authentic, more genuine. It wasn't like she wasn't back then, but it was a lot more edited. What would be a 5-minute video back then is now a 15 or 20, sometimes a 30-minute video. She's even saying, I'm editing less. A lot of creators are doing the exact same thing, not just Judy, even Mr. Beast, or just creators that don't edit at all and getting a million views. So to see her be free to be more herself, less work, even though she is working hard. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
she's like the GOAT of this, okay? Has been the best thing. And this is not unique to Judy because it happened to me.
I know.
It happens to other creators when they get on this daily grind or just doing it way more than ever. Because what happens when you do these reps, you're in the trenches, you're putting in the actions. It's just like doing free throws for basketball, right? The more free throws you shoot, the better you're going to get at it. You know, these basketball players in the NBA that are champions, they have shot so many free throws, it would make your mind numb. And they probably feel numb after doing, 1,000 free throws. That's the same way with content creation, and especially with vlogging. The more you do it, the better you get. And guess what? You're going to know what works. That I believe that's what's happening with Judy. I'm seeing like this instinct come back. She's always had it, but it wasn't like as acute. It wasn't as strong. And so if you're somebody like that hasn't done anything, or maybe you're a creator that feels stagnant, my God, there's something about going daily and forcing yourself to do it, whether it's good or bad, that like one will improve you, right? And 2 will inspire you. You live in like a different world at this point. And we always knew that about daily vlogging, because in the beginning when people said, oh, it's impossible, it's like totally normal for us.
Yeah.
Like your brain shifts. Like when you're forced to do it, even if you're the one forcing it on yourself, right? You just become a different person. And this is for all parts of life. You just become better. You become stronger. And then you, at the very end of it too, right? You're this epic creator that you can't even recognize what you were at the very beginning. And that's why the daily reps are so really important. And then on the flip side of it, guess who else loves it? Not just the audience, but the algorithm. They're like, ooh, we get more data to work with, more videos to promote. And then they're able to really go to town. And that's your goal in the phase 1 of the Vlogging Academy. You want to give as much information to the algorithm as possible to be able to connect with the right audience. And now guess what? Our trajectory is going up big time. But more important than that is that energy I'm seeing of Judy. That's like, whoa, I haven't seen this in a long time. We're talking even more than 7 years ago, because at that time we were having babies, literally, right? We had twins, and we're deciding for our family, we're going to do less. So that none of that has changed. But guess what? It was a grind at that time. So we thought 6 days a week, and then we went to 5 days a week. And then recently we went from 5 days to 3 days, which was a big deal, right? And it was great for us. But now now we're doing 7 days and we have as much energy. And like I said, even more energy. Like we're more energized, even though our life hasn't changed, because the new vlog method lets you create content way faster, without as much work, but actually put out not just the same amount of value that we did before. I would argue more value, because these are longer videos for a different viewing behavior than it was 10 years ago. And to me, that's priceless, because I actually feel like Judy and I could actually do this all the way to the end of the year. It would be a grind, and most likely we're going to taper down, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do more than the 3 that we're doing per week, because it's kind of an exciting time. And any creator that's had any success knows what this feels like. You don't want to stop, because you also understand these waves come and go. And when it's here, you got to ride it all the way to the beach, which is funny because there's another guy in the studio that's riding a wave. And I'm like, dude, you need to just put up the reps. And so that wave is very special, because the wave is not just influenced by you, of course, but it's also influenced by your audience. And right now it's novel again that Judy's daily vlogging. I think she's loving that. They're loving it, and we're going to take advantage of it. And so, that's the cool thing about Vlogtober that happened in the beginning that launched us to 7 years of 7 days a week. And I'm not saying that we're going to do that again now, but right now, we're just like soaking it all in, and it's amazing because she is, able to apply the new vlogging method to a certain degree, right? And we're just, really excited about what's happening. And that's ultimately what I want for every creator that I coach, because that excitement will just fuel you to like new levels of success.
Yeah, I was going to do a promo for Vlogging Academy, but I feel like you just did the perfect one. If you want to get a taste of the kinds of things that Judy is learning from the new vlogging method, you can go to vloggingacademy.com to learn more. This show is supported by students of Vlogging Academy. There's hundreds of them that have learned this new vlogging method from Benji using his new course at Vlogging Academy. And that's it for the show.